Okay, good day. I'm African Crypto Warlord, and today we'll be looking at XRP USDT with alpha trading tools. So what we have here is we have our AVR flashing. So what I've done is I've designated one candle look back. So this is how I start to find points of interest. Okay, so these are some of our names of our indicators here. Let me just get all the view. Okay, so what's got me interested on the weekend, it's pretty cool, is we have a 12-hour flash. So we don't really have riveting 12-hour flashes quite often, but as you can see, big moves usually follow just after the flashes. So we just want to make sure that we're on the right side of volatility to make sure that we get maximum profits. Okay, so we have a distribution cone, and what we'll be monitoring is from this day, from this cone out, what's going to be happening. So just our 7th up is 7.5 cents, and just our first point down is at 0.6.4. But these you could look at coming in at a longer time series to get to these levels. They aren't just going to blow through these levels. Well, we can't just say that, but usually it'll take 3 or 4 candles to get to a 7th move, especially if we've had some big time mean reversion here. So we have a little bit of confusion with regards to which way volatilities and price action is wanting to go. So volatility is expanding from this point, but we can see that we're positively correlated. So one is significantly positively correlated, so that's why this will be looking to print yellow in the next 41 minutes. But then we have the other one, which is capping it from pushing above our daily mean. So a little bit of sideways volatility. What we're going to be looking at is if this 12-hour and everything else with it is going to turn around. Because if we go to the 7-day, I'll just start on the 7-day and then drop down. So we can see we have some mean reversion here. We have some contraction was negatively correlated, giving us positive drifts. So that's sort of holding this mean until stated otherwise, which will be stated in 12 hours and 41 minutes. Then we move on to a 3-day. I can bring up the 5-day actually, seeing as that's a very popular time frame. I enjoy hearing that. So we have our blue flashes coming in, so we can start to see that when this blue flash closes off, which will be on our next open in 12 hours and 40 minutes, then we'll wait for this flash to go off, and we'll see if this turns around underneath here. Because if this flash goes off, then you'll be looking for buying pressure to come in to follow up. Contraction, positively correlated, bottom now is dragging it down on the 3-day. So throw it up on the 5-day. A whole bunch of mean reversion points here, so this is going to be interesting area for price action further on in the future. So it's going to be very allergic to these candles when it does come back in. So it's either going to want to stay on the outside of them, right? So when we come back in here, it's going to stay very lethargic. It's not going to want to break through. But when it does peek through, it's going to blow up and try to get above these wicks as soon as possible. It will be very, I don't know what the right word is, but hydrophobic in between these two candles here. When it does come around, it doesn't matter when. This price action can go to 0, and when it comes back here, it's still not going to want to hang around here. It's going to want to push up or push back down immediately. So this is why I say market memory. Okay, so this is on a 5-day. Contraction, negatively correlated, should start to float up with this move, but not as quickly as a bull would want to. Okay, so there's a little bit of drag, you could say, coming in from the 5-day. So this bottom will only really be fought for once, let's say, I call this my super scalper, once she's mean reverted. And more than likely, when this point gets to here, our Pearson correlation will be at its mean. Okay, which means that if this is expanding and Pearson correlation goes through the mean, it will chop this pump. So there's a thing I like to say: you can pump yourself into a dump, thus being one of these occasions coming in from the 12-hour. So this has to take like 3 or 4 candles worth of work We'll see if we can see what it's wanting to do. Obviously it's going to want to come back to the daily mean before close. That's usually the general idea, is it wants to fight over any one of these yellow points that you'll see. Some will be yellow dots, some will be yellow lines, but that's what I like to have price action use as my magnet. What we see here is we see return oscillator turning around on a 12-hour. Okay, turning around on a 12-hour. We see a flash coming off. So this is a first buy signal coming up. Obviously we would have wanted to manage this a bit 12 hours earlier on to see what was happening at this little wick on the 12-hour. So we drop it on 6-hour. And now we start to see, okay, so we can see some flattening here. So we'll see a lot of indicators like hit outlier events and start to look for bigger moves. So it's our 6-hour, we're getting a whole bunch of flashes, so we can throw up a distribution cone on this one. So we're currently pretty much just sitting underneath where its mean would be. So this would be like one Laplace levels cut that we're hanging under on the 6-hour. Okay, flash off like the time frame above. So we have some birds that are chirping. It's quite nice. So this is telling us the 4-hour volatility is confused. It's contracting. Our longer term period Pearson correlation is going down, whilst our higher term faster moving Pearson correlation is coming back up. So these guys are going to meet at the mean. Add the numbers up and you can start to figure out what will be happening under contraction if it starts to contract. If these two carry on like this to the mean on the next 4-hour open, that would signify to me that yes, this dump is not confirmed yet. It has followed through. The trend is expanding. We have already had an outlier event. Okay. So what this is telling me is that this candle is, I should actually be dropping it down a bit quicker. So this candle hasn't yet confirmed on the 4-hour. So this whole 4-hour candle has been a wait. So this has been a waste of time, you could say, if you were to be trading the last 12 hours. Put it on the 3-hour. So our general trend is starting to come up, but we are still caught in the trend to the downside. Contraction, negatively correlated. Bots and algos should follow through with a little bit of buying action through here. So they are there. If you're going to dump on them, there is liquidity. Given they are starting to top off, follow through is when we mean revert. And I'd say 2 candles of this pressure, and you can start to look to mean revert underneath this area, which means that's coming down, that's going down. This would have had contracted and then started going down again. That would have turned around and started to then touch the cloud. So it's a little bit of work to find follow through for this. Okay, so here on the 90-minute. So this is what I'm wanting to look for. So we have Shannon that's zeroed out here. This thing's turning down. The next best move would be for Shannon to expand, and this thing to, if this goes green, then it's significantly positively correlated, but it means that the move doesn't have that much. It has to pump up to this line immediately for it to be like worthy of its time, because any little pump off of it, it lost any advantage, because Pearson correlation came through mean reversion already into contraction. We want these guys to be zero and mean reverting at the same time. That will be like a very nice, clean and clear signal. So here's a good example. We can see red candles, and then we can see it going negatively correlated. So that shows that we have a dump coming. So this is finding itself out. So we have to go looking on like a lower time frames to see what kind of noise this is. Okay, so we're coming into an outlier event, contraction. The bots and algos will start to pick this up. Contraction. Oh no, sorry, they're going to carry on dumping through. Volatility is contracting, and Pearson correlation is positively correlated to the contraction, so you're going to look for follow through on this down. Let's go start looking for bots and algos that'll be hunting down here. I want to start turning on some higher term stuff, lower research tools. So expanding, 3 candles up, Still has follow through. If this thing goes red, then this dump continues. Let's see where our closest point would be, 69.64 on Binance. Okay, now I'm gonna wrap it onto the 5 minute. I think I need to throw this thing up. Wasting time here. So that's loaded. Cool. Contraction, positively correlated into this band. We start to fight for that band. You'll see when we zoom in, the band's in the same place. This is on the 1 minute. Load up banditos. Load up. No more volatility. Okay. Cool. In, there's our mean reversion point. Considering it's come this far, I would like a touch on this band. That comes down and around. If it was to touch, that will start to contract. Okay, that's going through contraction, positively correlated. So the next move is bottom algos. Let's see here. This is what we're looking for. It's already had its big fat outlier event. Returns are moving to the upside. So we're hunting this level. If we touch this band, when this cuts through here, your good falls will happen. So this little red line touches here, it'll either go really far down or come up and touch that real quick, and you can gather that information off of what's sort of happening here. So now seems our pink line. Okay, now that, as you said, turnover, there's your bear div. Cool, still in the trend, returns are way significant. Now we're trending. So this will be a lot of work. So this will be maybe 6, standard deviation 6. Somewhere here, this will be standard deviation 7, somewhere out here. From how I've set these blue and this pink array up. So now we're going to be pushing through our high time frame indicators. Let's see. Contraction, so the bots and the algos. So what's happening now is Shannon looks like it will want to chop back down to the mean, go negatively correlated. This thing starts to contract. If this carries on going green, yeah, green, okay, nice. So there's still bear bots that will be winning this section. Okay, until stated otherwise, that these need to contract. Okay, this either needs to go red, then it'll follow the little red one here, then it'll pump up into here. And if that happens, this will more than likely flash green. But this is still sideways to me. No one's made up their mind yet. What would I say is the next best move? Let's see. Fisher, no one's in this area. No one's in this area. There we are. Okay, so we've based off of... So we're looking to close up there. And if you close above here, these dots, that will give mean reversion to the upside. If you close below the dots, then it will go down. So now this is going to look for a little bit of float up, but not as strong as you would hope. So it's going to get sold into. Outlier event already. Hit our pink line, so we know that things are there, broke through, that's cool, so that's registered. So you look for maybe a wick on the next candle to touch here, if it was to close above or below. Positive, so it's getting sold into. So you sort of want them to expand at the same time. So I would say for weekend range, 69, 64 to, this is quite a big range. To that level. But I'd say for now, to push for the end of the day, I'd say we're either here, we've gone down and up, and we're either here for the end of the day, or we're well above this. But this is going to take a lot of work, because now you can see bears are pulling in, bulls are getting exhausted. Exhausted it, and they didn't even move the candles. So it's a beautiful play by them that they tried. Returns have stated that they are wrong. So now they have to fight for this thing through, and it comes into here, and then it's just going to go a little bit of sideways. If this red line carries on through and breaks, we come up and we touch it and we carry on dumping. Needs to close 2 candles above red line, and then you can look for continuation to the upside. So let's go see what we're looking like on the 15. That's wanting to come around. We're still in a trend, expansion to the downside, blue flashes. This is going to take a little bit more time. Are we having, let me throw up the 1 minute, look for my AVR flashes, how far we are away. No one's really lined up. Yeah. Okay. And breakthrough. So now you want to close above this thing. This is a defense, but it can drag itself down at the angle that this is at. But this has now formed a defense for the bulls too. Now this is all noise that's happening here on the 1 minute. With 2 candle closes above red line, and you can look for continuation to the upside. The main reversion point, this candle needs to sort of close over here, 7,750, which has just been in the same zone. There you go. Okay. Random point, returns are getting chopped to the downside, random point. So now we need to go like zooming up to look for continuation. Who's pushing through? So we'll see what the 5 minute looks like. We saw 15 minute. Yeah, so 15 minute, 5 minute look the same. Pushing through. Expansion, contraction, negatively correlated will be the next best move for Shannon. And that will cause some float. Well, the lower time frame bots that are bearish, they'll start to get bought up from the 15 minute bots. And yeah, so it's like 2 candle closes above. This is in a very risky point. It's very choppy. So we're going to look for higher time frame resolution. Okay, contraction, positively correlated. It's going to push on through. Okay. Expansion to the downside. That was denied by the daily mean. So this is what we're wanting to play with. The 12-hour distribution levels. So what we're going to do, we're going to reset and look for three distribution levels out and see who's matching up. Okay, so 171, 750. Okay. 6950, 6970. So you can imagine who's gonna between these 2 points, candles, bodies, and wicks. Candles, bodies, and wicks. If you like patterns, maybe you can find one here. Okay. Still confused. 25 minutes. So I say, because it's confused, it looks like it'll want to float up into the daily mean, to be honest, before it looks like for a bigger market play down to the downside. Significantly correlated, flashing. Let's see. So I'll draw off the range quick on this. Contraction, positively correlated. Okay, so I would say 51% side to the downside. So somewhere from here will be the daily range that we'll be looking at. Okay. Let me throw it up on 1 minute. We see if this has fought it off during the stream. Maybe it's in like 2. Just throw the UMP off. Okay. So yeah. There, and it'll keep market structure for higher time frames. If it holds in here for maybe up until the 4 hour, can decide what it wants to do. This would be the 4 hour. wanting to decide what it wants to do. Okay, and from here I think we will be able to base something off. It gets scalped out at the red line. If it gets scalped out at the red line, it goes and visits the green line. And from green line journey, more than likely want to go, if there's enough time in the day, go for this yellow line. Otherwise, it will reprint and the yellow line will be somewhere around here tomorrow. Okay, hope this was helpful, and you can use these if it breaks from here by the time this is uploaded. So I would say this will be, look for continuation on your 15-minute indicators. So thank you, Alpha Trading Tools. Yeah, brilliant stuff.